And also attest that Mr. XOLA NQOLA is alive and kicking, busy organizing horse racing events there down there by XOLA. I can give you his number so that you video call him through the lunchtime.
But do you know if there is other citizen using the same names?
No, Chair, there's only one XOLA NQOLA who's a former speaker from XOLA. There's only one person who was ambushed, but he was not killed. It is true that he was ambushed, but he was not killed. So there's a difference in the two. Okay, let me leave that, Chair. Minister, let's start with the audio that was played as part of your evidence. Firstly, I was concerned of Chair that the minister advised Mr. Nkabinde to record General Mkhwanazi without the consent or knowledge of General Mkhwanazi. So I thought it would be important that we consult some necessary and relevant legal prescripts in that regard. But I also saw that actually the RICA Act does allow one to record a communication if they are part of. So it gives two instances, two conditions, Chair, that if that person is part of that conversation and that person is not using that to commit a criminal offense. So I was quite worried, Machingwan. But this is the point where we've got different ways of interpreting what was happening. General Mkhwanazi testified and said, Mr. Nkabinde said to him, there may be unknown people who have tapped in his communication devices without his knowledge. Now, when you testify that you would have advised the chief of staff to make a recording of the conversation between him and General Mkhwanazi. What is your take on that?
Now, what I said, and also inclusive of the correction of the hitch that happened in the other room, on the second, when they started talking between them, General Mkhwanazi and Nkabinde, they talked about the things that I indicated, and that included on the first day that what I regarded as a threat, that if Minister Mchunu believes that he is clean, he should proceed with this. That was said on the first day. But on the 5th, when they spoke on the 3rd and 4th, and then they spoke on the 5th. Then that is when the recording started. Now, when they start the recording, they acknowledge what they had discussed on the 2nd, as you heard the other time. That needed to be clarified. Yes, they did speak about a supposedly screenshot conversation between them, but they themselves say they didn't know how that came about, but it had omission of things that they thought anyone who would have recorded them would have included them, but excluded some of those things. So you say you are concerned about that. We'll leave it to them and their recording. I was merely sharing the recording on my side.
Okay, you say part of what would have made you interested for recording of conversations is the fact that you got briefed by the chief of staff that General Mkhwanazi is very angry and making threats. So you advised the chief of staff that it would actually be adequate that from now on you record the conversation. So you brought evidence in a form of an audio that part of the threats that you think that are being said in the audio is that someone says if you are clean, you can proceed and all those things. But I don't know what other honorable members would have heard in the audio, but what I heard in the audio was actually the sentiments of your chief of staff, Mr. Nkabinde, saying those things of being clean, not clean, and all those things. Did you finally get the part that which you wanted us to hear so that we are able to understand better your argument in regard to this? You'll recall that even Honorable Malema did advise that when you come back today, you must actually direct us exactly where we must go so that we understand your argument better.
The part that I was interested in was where such a statement was being made between them and then recorded. Now, it's only in reference, it turns out, because that part was said before they started recording. But it is referred to in the conversation on the 5th and acknowledged by them when they remind each other that whoever would have screenshot them when they were discussing would not have missed out on this part and that part. For instance, on the first part where there was talk of fight back, where there was talk of if the minister is clean. That conversation had not been or was not recorded, and I thought part thereof was actually recorded. That's why I brought it here. But it turns out that it is only in reference. So my answer to you is that I thought that that had been recorded. It turns out it had not been recorded. It just comes as a reference, rather.
Okay. Does the minister understand that as things stands, given that response, the ad hoc committee doesn't have the evidence of threats as things stands now?
The ad hoc committee has a reference as it stands now, and I would advise that if it pleases the ad hoc committee, you can get Mr. Nkabinde to come and say it for himself. So it shouldn't just be just because the recording, the actual recording is only in reference, and therefore that's the end of the game. It's not the end. And Nkabinde is alive, he can be asked to come so that he says it himself, if you so wish.
He's alive and kicking.
He's alive and kicking, just like...
No, it's fine.
Honorable NQOLA,
Yes, Chair.
you know, this morning when we started, from this table, we made an announcement to members of the ad hoc committee that our support team followed up with the minister and his team to forward the extract that he wanted us to play on that day. And as at the time of resumption of proceedings this morning, that extract has not been forwarded to us. So it is not us. It was him who said it last week on Friday, that he wanted us to hear that extract and it was not there in the recording. And you are very right that when we rose, Honorable Malema said, please make sure that whatever piece of information you have you want to bring us, make it available. So it has not been made available, Honorable Minister. And the question that the Honorable Member is asking, he is justified to say that as it stands now, the ad hoc committee doesn't have that extract, which you promised that it will be made available.
Yes, Chair, and I give a reason that I was under an impression that it had been recorded when the recording of their conversation had started, and it turns out that it had not started on the first day when that was mentioned. It only
Yeah.
started on the fifth day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I take the explanation, but the fact remains. As we proceed now, the extract is not here before us.
It is not here before us as intended, except to add that it is in reference,
Yeah.
only in reference.
Yeah. We agree. If we use the primary and the secondary, we will say the primary is not here.
I
Is
would
that so?
agree.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, there is a hand.
Honorable Malema.
I'm on the same point. The minister, because you are putting it as if we should have the recording. The minister does not have a recording. He told us he's got a recording and he wants us to play. That's number one. Number two, he wanted us to listen to something he never listened to himself. Because it's not there. And that's what you should be asking the minister. Not that where we are now, we don't have a recording. That recording doesn't exist. Let's agree there. That there was no such a recording where Mkhwanazi was threatening the minister. And that's why I was interested that he must bring that thing here, because we want to hear for real if minister was threatened. Minister comes, that thing is not here, and then we speak in different languages. We must put it on record that the minister doesn't have that recording, and therefore that recording doesn't exist.
You are absolutely correct, Honorable Member. And that is how we are proceeding. That is understood, Honorable Minister. We are proceeding from that premise that the evidence that you promised has not been presented before the ad hoc committee.
Again, yes.